See, I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert at this. What in the living fuck is that? Whoever came up with this name, you're a moron. So this is a Madagascan blonde hognose snake. And now my hands smell like snake pits. So in this video, we're not going to be talking about the big quadplex here, which I should probably be not smacking quite that hard. I've got 2 snakes in shed at the moment. Hang on to the end of the video because I'm going to take one of my snakes out and introduce you to them. So what are we doing in today's video then? Well, I found this reptile quiz. I'm not going to attempt to show you what I see on my phone here to the camera. I'm just going to put it up on either the left or the right of me, and that's where it's going to be for the rest of the video. Now, I have not gone through this quiz before filming this, so I'm just going to be doing this raw. So this quiz might be easy, it might be difficult, or it might just blatantly be wrong. Because the number of times that you do reptile quizzes or animal quizzes and the information is just completely bogus. Absolute bullshit. I don't know where they get it from. But regardless, we're going to give this a try. I think this could be a fun idea. So the quiz that we're going to be doing is, can you identify these lizard species? By Ian 40. So we're going to see how well versed and well educated on reptiles or lizards specifically in this situation Ian is. By the looks of it, this quiz is going to show images, ask a question, and we have to identify what the lizard is. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to leave the options off screen so you can play along and guess alongside me. See if we can figure out what this is before I actually show the options. Then we'll go through the options like a typical quiz structure. So first question here. You can find these nefarious creatures in Madagascar. What's it called? Well, that's some kind of gecko. It looks like it has a leaf for a tail, so it doesn't look like a leaf-tailed gecko, but I'm assuming it's going to be a play on that kind of thing. So let's scroll down here. We got black and white tegu. No. Crested gecko. It is a gecko, not a crested though. Satanic leaf-tailed gecko. Satanic? Who named this bloody thing? What about that looks satanic? And veiled chameleon. Well, it's obviously going to be the satanic leaf-tailed gecko. I mean, you could name a metal band after that. Jesus Christ. Imagine naming a metal band Satanic Leaf-Tailed Gecko, which is not a great metal name, but the word satanic is in it, and I know nothing about metal, so just go with this analogy. And they had this image on their, on their shirts as their band icon, their band logo. I think people would be quite disappointed. Luckily, they also go by the names eyelash leaf-tailed gecko. Why wouldn't you just call it an eyelash leaf-tailed gecko? Why would you call it a satanic leaf-tailed gecko? That's just stupid. Whoever came up with this name, you're a moron. Moving on to the second question. If I ever become popular on YouTube and these people discover this video, they're going to be quite pissed. The people that discovered these animals anyway. Alright, next question here. I mean, that's a green basilisk. I don't even need to read the question. This lizard can run across water for short distances. What is it? So it's a green basilisk. Everybody should know this. Everybody in the reptile world, anyway. So let's go through these. Plumbed basilisk. I'm assuming that's what it is, because it's definitely not a Standings day gecko or a fire skink. I could see if people chose Chinese water dragon because they're green, but a plumbed basilisk just looked like a green basilisk to me, but I guess plumbed it is. The plumbed basilisk of Central America is a unique animal in appearance and behavior. Sure, I mean most animals are. The plume. Give me a second. Plumed. Called it a plumbed gecko. It's a plumed gecko. Alright? Pretend I didn't say that. I am smart. I do know how to read. The plume from the name is very noticeable and gives the lizard a dinosaur-like appearance. Sure, I mean, I just know them as green basilisks. Maybe the green and the plume basilisk are different things. I have no idea. Next question. This lizard can grow to be larger than a human. What is it? Well, this is going to be an interesting question. When I scroll down, is Komodo dragon going to be one of the options? Because it's not a Komodo dragon in this picture. But it wouldn't surprise me if someone was to assume that that was a Komodo dragon because it looks like some kind of monitor lizard and it's big. I'm going to say that's probably a Nile monitor. It's kind of difficult to tell from this distance, but I'd say that the pattern on its back, kind of the blotching, the shape of its head is telling me that it's an African monitor, and I can only think of 3 African monitors off the top of my head right now. It's not a Savannah or a black-throat, so it's definitely got to be a Nile monitor, unless there's some other ambiguous monitor that I don't know of, which there definitely is, but based on how easy this quiz seems to be, I highly doubt those are going to be options. Collared lizard, no. Red tegu, no. Night anole, no. If they'd given me different monitors as options, I might have had a bit more of a struggle, but let's be fair, that was pretty easy. The largest Nile monitor on record managed to crack 8 feet. That's pretty big. Next question. I mean, that's a green anole. You can only find this lizard on the Galapagos Islands. What is it? That is that rock sea iguana thing. The ones that are in the beginning of that Godzilla movie, the the American one, which I loved as a child, but then as you grow up, you start to learn that some of the things you liked as children, they're not actually good at all. I mean, I don't really know what the name of this thing is. I'm gonna just say Galapagos iguana. What we got? Mangrove monitor? No. Gidgee skink? No, nowhere near. Frilled lizard. Now, I should know a fair thing or two about the frilled lizard, and this is definitely not a frilled lizard. Marine iguana. I mean, I said Galapagos iguana, but I knew marine iguana, it just wasn't coming to my mind. The only lizard that forages in the sea. They eat algae in their native habitat, and no one has ever successfully bred or kept them away from the Galapagos Islands. I'm assuming there's something in the algae that they eat that's either very difficult or impossible for us to duplicate in captivity. I mean, that's a veiled chameleon. In Hawaii, this lizard has become an invasive species. Yeah, and in Florida as well. Although, in fairness, the Nile monitor has also become an invasive species in Florida. And pretty much anything can become an invasive species in Florida. Maybe not the polar bear, but anything that can live in a tropical environment. Well, it was a matter of time. We've already had the black and white tegu and the red tegu in previous questions as options that weren't correct. So it's about time they actually gave it to us as a correct answer. Name this bulky lizard that can grow to 4 feet in length and makes an oddly good house pet, and some of them can get bigger than 4 feet. I've seen some that are. It's not an Argus monitor. Some people who aren't really familiar with lizards might say that a tegu is a monitor, but they're not. They're different. Desert iguana, that's another thing. A lot of people probably guess it as an iguana, but again, not iguanas. Central American banded gecko. Yeah, it's definitely not a gecko. Can you imagine a gecko being 4 feet long? Especially if it was a tokay gecko. That'd be terrifying. Imagine the power of that thing's bite. You completely sever a hand off. Oh, now we have the best lizard going. Or at least the lizard that won the UEFA Euro 2024 Reptile tournament. It also won the lizard tournament. This thing is an absolutely stellar reptile option. If you're looking to get something that's going to require a lot of attention and money to set up. Especially if you live in Canada. If you're in Australia, much easier. Australian water dragon. Piss off, I'm not even reading the rest. Australian water dragons are, as the name suggests, very well adapt to the water. They can swim submerged and stay underneath the water for about an hour and a half if necessary. What? Really? I don't know if that's true. That seems untrue. That a lizard could be submerged under the water for an hour and a half without coming up for a breath? Because that's what I'm taking away from that statement. That seems unlikely. But seeing as I don't know for sure, I'll leave it stand the way it is. If anybody knows, leave it in the comments. Alright, next question. Piece of piss, this one. Now we're going to read the question. Bearded dragon. Fucking bosh it, mate. Next lizard here. Because of its little legs, this lizard is pretty slow. What is it called? Now this is something I've always wondered about skinks. What do they do with those little legs? Like, it's obviously a beneficial adaptation for them to have these little legs. Would longer legs be better? Interesting questions, I think, and the answers are probably out there. I'm not going to look for them. But that's obviously a blue tongue skink because it's, as you can see, got a blue tongue. What in the fuck is that? Ugh. I mean, it looks like a house snake. I mean, it's got to be some kind of legless lizard then, right? The only ones I know of are the European or the glass legless lizard. I don't know if they're the same thing or different. I've never seen one look like that. Spiny neck monitor? No. Green basilisk? No. Asian water monitor? No. Burton's legless lizard? I mean, that's obviously the right answer. Ooh, another legendary lizard right here. I know nothing about Pokemon cards or Pokemon or however the hell you say it. Never really cared for that to be completely honest with you. But this would be a shiny one, if that even means anything. Absolute, fantastic, epic, bloody brilliant lizard. I'm getting one of these soon. Bloody well, trust me, it's going to happen. So you're going to teach me anything valuable this time? The caiman lizards are water-loving lizards, native to South America. I've learnt nothing so far. They're good swimmers and tend to live in marshy or swampy areas. I've still learnt nothing so far. They also grow to be about 4 feet in length and eat nothing but snails. I've still learnt nothing so far. This lizard is a desert-dwelling vegan. As I said when doing the UEFA Euro Lizard tournament, I know nothing about chuckwillas, but I do know what they look like. I mean, I'm not even going to read the question on this one. Crested gecko. I mean, that is some kind of Eurymastix. I'm going to guess it's an Egyptian Eurymastix. Yes, Egyptian Eurymastix. I'm a fucking legend. See, I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert at this. What in the living fuck is that? This lizard's camouflage is so good, it's nearly impossible to see it in the wild. Well, at least I can provide this. It's definitely a gecko, and it probably has leaf in its name. So let's try and use that to deduce what the answer is based on the multiple choices it's about to give us. Cape monitor, definitely not. Giant water dragon, definitely not. Flying gecko, spear-tailed skink. Okay, well, it's definitely not a skink. It's a flying gecko. Regardless, I'm still an expert, even though I didn't really know what that was. That is a fire skink. I know nothing really about them. I hear they can be a little bit nippy sometimes, but it's a fire skink. Well now, that right there is an Australian frilled lizard. I don't know if it's going to be that specific and require me to determine where it's from, like the region of them, but it's an Australian frilled lizard, obviously. Alright, it's not even caring about that, it just wants frilled lizard. I'm not even going to bother reading it, because I see in here it says Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus. Can't be bothered. I'm going to assume everybody watching this is a fan of the movies of Jurassic Park or Reptiles, and you know what the bloody difference is. Huh. I'm kind of stumped on this one. Darwin first described these lizards as ugly. What are they? I mean, I wouldn't say they're ugly. Bit of an odd colour, and a lot of loose skin kind of around the head. And the tail does look like it's too small. If you were to show this to me and say, dead or alive, I would assume this is an extinct lizard species from back in the day. What the fuck is it? If I had to guess, I'd say it's some kind of an iguana. And based on it being on a beach, some kind of marine iguana, I'd assume. So let's have a look here. What do we got? Mexican beaded lizard, it's not that. Rough knob-tailed gecko, it's definitely not that. White-throated monitor, definitely not that. Galapagos land iguana. I mean, we deduced that one correctly, I'd say. Haven't got any wrong yet, so I'm quite impressed with myself. That is a Gila monster. Pretty easy there. Some people believe this lizard is venomous, but it's not. Do you recognize it? No? I do not recognize it. I'm going to have to deduce this one as well. Well, it's not a gecko, so whatever that bottom option is, whatever kind of bloody gecko that is, it's not that. Horned monitor. It's definitely not a monitor, and it's not a beaded lizard. So it's got to be a giant Hispaniola gallywasp. Fabulous. I'm going to forget that that thing existed. That is a Jackson's chameleon. Awesome looking animals, and I imagine it's super easy to breed them. Oof. I don't like it when people stare into my eyes and lick their lips. It gives me this weird fuzzy feeling inside. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It depends who's doing it. Arguably the biggest and most dangerous lizard on Earth. What is it called? It is called a Komodo dragon. That is a horny devil. I mean a thorny devil. Probably horny as well. Look at him. It's a moloch. The fuck is a moloch? It's got horns on it. Mountain horn dragon. Ah, it's not a mountain horn dragon, you bloody twat. Oh, goodness me, I shouldn't have got that wrong. I should have just read the bloody question. I should have read the options. I rushed in. This is usually my issue. This is what most girls tell me anyway. Well, let's read about this thing, because I'm interested. Moloch, I'm assuming that's how you say it, is the name of a Canaanite god from the Bible. Oh, it's from the Bible, so it's made up. I'm just going to move on, because I'm kind of unhappy that I got this wrong. Alright, well, that's a Solomon Island skink. Monkey-tailed skink. Sure. They're also known as monkey-tailed skink. Same thing, though. I live in Canada, as some of you may know, and they're bloody expensive to get over here. Like $1,500, $2,000 each. Okay, so now we have a horned dragon of some kind. The underdog lizard. Way underrated lizard for what they are. That is a beaded lizard. Another one of the venomous lizards. We've also had Gila monster, which is the other one. Let's keep scrolling here. Because that, it looks like a mini crocodile. Outside of that, I really don't have anything to go on. I mean, fair enough, the person who named it at least did a pretty decent job, because I looked at that and said alligator or crocodile something. Well, this lizard looks very proud, doesn't it? People sometimes call this the giant dragon lizard. I mean, it kind of looks like an armadillo lizard. That's my first thing I'm going off. Now, they haven't given that to us as an option, so I'm going to assume it's not that. So we're going to have to go through these and knock them off. Brown anole, no. Gold tegu, no. It's not a gecko, so it's not a line day gecko, so it's a sun gazer. I've never heard of a sun gazer. So let's read what this thing's about. Their association with dragons is pretty ingrained these days, thanks to their spiky, horn-like scales and the fact scientists reclassified them in 2011 and added them to a brand new genus called Smaug. That's pretty cool, actually. Well, this one looks like a thorny devil. This time I'm going to read the friggin' option so I don't fuck up. Texas horned lizard. It could be that. Argentine tegu? No. Southern alligator lizard, definitely not. Beaded lizard. So it's a Texas horned lizard. That right there is a tokay gecko, and the person that's holding it is probably going to regret that. I mean, that is a cool looking lizard. In a very technical way, this little New Zealander isn't even a lizard. What do you call it? Not a lizard. I mean, it's not a flying gecko, it's not a panther chameleon, not a mangrove monitor, so it's a tuatara. I mean, let's do some reading on this. I'm quite interested on this thing. Look like lizards, but evolved along a separate but similar path. They're a little more prehistoric than your average lizard. Pretty interesting. That's a savanna monitor. Piece of piss, mate. That is a rock iguana, or Cuban rock iguana, or whatever, but it's a rock iguana. Cuban rock iguana. There you go. What are you? Well, you are a monitor of some kind. Could be an Asian water monitor. This lizard eats mostly crab. I'm going to just assume it's an Asian water monitor, just based off that. Dumeral's monitor. Fuck you. Bloody hell. Alright, that's another one we got wrong. I'm going to move on because I'm disappointed at myself. This desert lizard could live up to 20 years in captivity. What's it called? That provides me with no information because most captive lizards live up to 20 years. I don't know, some kind of desert thing. I mean, it looks like it's a kind of gecko. Well, there's only one gecko option, so that's obviously what it is. Frog-eyed gecko. And that looks to be a jeweled lacerda. Jeweled lacerda, pretty easy there. That is a leopard gecko. Nice and simple. Alright, that looks like that's the end of the quiz there. I got 38 out of 40. There were 40 questions. We just went through 40 questions. Bloody Nora. One of them was a mistake. I should have read the options. The quiz had some very easy questions, which literally very few people within the hobby of reptiles, or even a little bit of knowledge when it comes to reptiles, would get wrong. And I had some questions in there which were quite difficult, even for me. And I know a fair bit more than the average person about reptiles. Hopefully. I mean, I'm in a bloody snake room. So it said I got 38 out of 40, but I'm going to consider that 39 out of 40 because I'm a competitive dickhead. Let me know in the comments how many you got right. And if any of you say you got 40 out of 40, you're full of shit. And I will tell you in the comments, you're full of shit. So I promised you at the end of this video I was going to take a snake out to show you. So who's it going to be? Cleo, who's at the top of the quadplex that we're currently building, and we'll be seeing a new video on that shortly, is in shed, so he can't come out. Malagasy just went through shed, and she's in a particular position which is kind of difficult for me to get her out, so we can't do that. Let's see, who do we want? Should we take out a hognose? You know what, this entire time I've been filming this, I've been getting watched. There's one snake that's been watching me. Now I'm going to leave this recording. I'm going to record my phone, because as soon as I stand up, he's going to immediately back away, because he is a massive coward. But I'm going to record this. So here we are, recording. We're going to shift all the way to where he is, the little bugger watching me. And there he goes, hiding right in the back there. So let me grab him. So this is a Madagascan blonde hognose snake. I have two of these. This one is Hunter, and I have one called Bolt. Bolt is called Bolt because he's bloody fast. He is a wild caught snake, which is henceforth why he's not quite as receptive and he's a little bit more reactive to hand movements. You can kind of hear him hissing when I do that. But I mean, for a wild caught snake, right? Like this guy was caught from the wild, and he is mildly venomous, as all hognose snakes are. He's very chill, right? Now I really like the blonde hognose snakes. Like, they're just a really good size. Like, that's just a perfect size snake right there. They eat like absolute maniacs. Never refuse, these guys. Like, you're going to get westerns refusing, but you are never going to get a blonde refuse. And he's musking all over me at the moment. Aren't you, buddy? I don't handle these guys all that much. I did have a female, and I was planning on breeding, but unfortunately she was quite old, and she died. And when I took her to the vet, he estimated that she was in her 20s. So she was a very old-lived snake, so that was just her time over with. So there we go, Hunter. Looks like you're about to go into shed because I'm beginning to see some white speckling on his nose. So I'm going to put Hunter back, and now my hands smell like snake piss. I'll go wash him in a second before I touch the camera. He's a wild caught snake. He's probably close to 10 years old at this point. And I handle him maybe when I'm cleaning just to move him around, but like actively handling him like that, I don't do it ever. Not because I can't, as you just saw, he's pretty chill about it. I have a few more temperamental snakes that require a little bit more consistent handling, whereas he doesn't require any consistent handling. That's him base level. He is a lot faster than he was letting on just there. He's quick when he wants to be.